let me thank you for honoring our invitation despite the short notice. The purpose of this press conference is to tell Ghanaians the antecedents of allowance and how successive governments handled it, and also to encapsulate some of the successes of government on health in the Northeast region. Allowance, as it's popularly called, means pocket money. That is by the definition from the English dictionary. Therefore, allowances paid to students are basically pocket money received from their parents, and that is the government. My brothers and sisters, please permit me to ask this question. Which of us here will refuse to give his or her ward or the child a pocket money or chop money?
Nobody.
No. Which of us here will eat his cake and still want to have it back?
No.
And which of us here will point his left hand at his father's house?
No.
In our traditional balance, when you point your left hand at your father's house, it means you have downgraded or rejected your place of birth, right?
Yes.
I ask this question because integrity matters a lot when it comes to allowance restoration. In this country, we have two major political parties. Believe me or not, that is the reality. That's the NDC, which we Tesconians call the prodigal NDC. And the MPP, which is the party of large. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, you remember in 2014, the NDC government, led by then President Mahama, cancelled student trainees allowance. And even put his presidency on the line for doing such a harm to trainees. In 2016, at a campaign trail in the Greater Accra region, when he was addressing students of the University of Ghana, he said, and I quote, "We have upgraded the colleges of education into tertiary status, and the fact is, you can't eat your cake and still have it." Let's take note, that is President Mahama speaking in 2016, that you can't eat your cake and still have it. Okay. That if you eat it, it is gone. President Mahama said you can't eat your cake and still have it, and that if you eat your cake, it is gone. Now, for the lack of integrity, the former president, Mahama, on 8 June 2020, vehemently said he will not cancel the payment of teachers and nurses training allowances should he win the 2020 presidential elections. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is a former leader of the nation. At one point, he cancelled trainees allowance and even put his presidency on the line that should he restore it, Ghana should hold him responsible. But then, 2020, for the sake of political power, this same person came to tell Ghanaians that vote for me. When I win, I will continue paying student training allowance. And today, this same person is going around seeking to come back and lead the country. Do we trust such a leader? No! Also, for a lack of integrity, the National Youth Organizer of the NDC, led by Mr. Obare Ado, who once defended the party's decision in 2014 for successfully denying trainees of their pocket money or allowance without having any pity, sat on the radio station during 2020 presidential election and said, and I quote, "Yes, we apologize for the cancellation of the trainees allowance. It was an unpopular decision, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, if given the opportunity, the NDC will continue with it." My brothers and sisters, this is the National Youth Organizer of a whole party speaking that the decision that the NDC government took in 2024, it was an unpopular decision. My brothers and sisters of the press, I ask you, those taking that decision, were they blind? No. Those taking that decision, were they beat to students? No. Those taking that decision, were they sleeping? No. So why then do they make such a popular decision and for the sake of political gain, 2020, we're lobbying for Ghanaians to vote for them. And these same people are running everywhere in the length and breadth of the country, seeking to come back and lead the government. Should we trust them? No! Again, ladies and gentlemen, for the lack of integrity, Professor Jenana Opoku Ajima, when addressing students in Wangatanga, said, I will come to a sensitive subject, which I think should be dead by now. We in NDC never cancel teacher trainees allowance. And she said, canceling means you have something and I come to take it away from you. My brothers and sisters, this professor speaking, she's not just a professor, but she's a professor in English. And she said, when they say cancel, it means that I have something, you've come and take it away from me. So why would such a professor, you cancel allowance in 2014, then replace it with student loan? Student loan and allowance, is it the same?
No.
So how will student loan replace nursing trainees allowance? How will student loan replace nursing trainees allowance? And bear you in mind, this professor was then the education minister when they sat in the round table and took such a popular decision for denying their students or their children their pocket money. And we all know allowance means pocket money. So they sat and took such a decision, denied out of our pocket money. And today, such a person went to Wangatanga in addressing students, said they never cancel student trainees allowance. But rather what they did was that they replaced it with student loan. My brothers and sisters, how many people were able to get access to the student loan?
Nobody.
Okay. Not that this same professor, who was then the education minister in 2015, said on several platforms that allowances have been cancelled but replaced with students' loan. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, not up to 2% of trainees population benefited from their so-called students' loan. Even they filled out how they were what? Party cronies. In fact, this student loan that they were talking about, my brothers and sisters, let's ask our fathers and our parents who are working. In fact, what I know is that before you take a loan, you have to get a guarantor. If you are in the public sector, you have to see your director, whoever involved, to guarantee you before you can get access to it. So how then will a student get access to the loan if you don't get a guarantor? And the country we are in now, or even before, how many workers are willing to serve as guarantors to students, or to even serve as guarantors to workers to go in for loan? The fact is that if you guarantee me to take a student loan, what is the guarantee that when I finish, I will work for government? We have people who completed their education but refuse to work for government and rather the private sector. So such a person, how will you trace such a person to refund the loan that government has given to the person? And assuming the person also finished and he or she happened to find himself in the Western country, how will you trace the person? You can trace the person invariably. So these people, in order to have a safe way of defending themselves, instead of giving trainees allowance, which they believe was putting a lot of burden on their budget, they rather shifted to the student loan, because student loan, everybody knows that after before you even get to, you suffer and you have to get a guarantor, and without one, so everybody can get access. So therefore, let's put them on student loan so that they continue suffering. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, in addition, for lack of integrity, this same NDC who rejoiced for successfully refusing to pay trainees their pocket money gave each student an untouched amount of 450 Ghana cedis to use as transportation to their various constituencies to vote for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And note, this money was disbursed on July 21, 2016 via each tertiary education finance department. You know something? In 2016, some of us back then we were in the secondary school. Those our seniors that were in the tertiary education, most especially the next training colleges. In 2016, though NDC government cancelled allowance, but for the sake of power, they called each student. We all know that allowance when given, it comes with tax, right? Yeah. Any amount given from government comes with tax, right? Yeah. But they called students and gave them 450 Ghana cedis. And then that money was given on tabletop. My brother, my sisters, how can you tax a money, or how can you tax money that is dispensed on tabletop? No. And the NDC government who successfully cancelled release allowance in 2014 for the complaint that allowances was putting burden on the government office. So therefore, they don't know where to raise money and pay the students. So therefore, they have to cancel the law, put them on student loan. However, they were able to amass an amount that would pay each tertiary student 450 Ghana cedis in 2016. Where did they get that money? Where did they get that money? My fellow trainees, please, the NDC is never an option when it comes to allowance restoration and payment, because they are inconsistent in their decision and they lack integrity of commitment. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the press, for the reincarnation of NPP, the allowances of student trainees have been restored fully. The NPP promised Ghanaians of restoring trainees their pocket money far before 2016 general elections. His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo restored this allowance on September 1, 2016 in his first year in office. During the restoration, the President said, and I quote, "I promise Ghanaians that my government is going to restore the allowances, we're going to restore the allowances, and by the grace of God and the generosity of Ghanaians, I am here to restore the allowance." That is the speaking, that is the working government speaking, that's the working president speaking. For your information, an amount of 232 million Ghana cedis was paid to over 58,000 students in all training colleges within the first academic year after the restoration of the allowance. That is the amount of money the government was able to use, even though others did not pay because the country was putting back burden on the government budget. However, when NPP came in power, within the first year, we were able to place an amount of 232 million to pay over 58,000. So where did they get that money? That is good leadership and prudent economic management. The payment of allowance has been consistent since 2017, and until the almighty COVID befell on the globe, which Ghana is no exception. Even with the current global economic challenges, as a result of COVID compounded into Russia-Ukraine war, government is still paying allowances. Just some few weeks ago, all training institutions in Ghana, were full of dancing and singing because government Yande paid them their pocket money. That is the kind of government led by a listening president, Ghanaians need. However, ladies and gentlemen, we admit there are challenges in the payment, and I want to use this video to plead on government to try and resolve those challenges. Also, let me assure police who haven't been paid to exercise patience and pray for the government, because I know soon that will be addressed. I therefore plead on government. And I emphasize, I therefore plead on government, our listening government, to try and pay the few people that are still left unpaid. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, our next topic on the press conference is government scorecard on health in the Northeast region. My brothers and sisters, green in our national flag signifies our vegetation. That means green is a symbol of blessing or success. That is why you see everyone here wearing a green band. You can see it. The green depicts government unprecedented achievements on health in the Northeast region. For the few years in office, the rate at which government is investing in the health sector within the region is like Usain Bolt in a 100 meters race. So far, government have initiated or completed over 35 health projects across the region. Every constituency have its share of the astronomical investment. Below are the projects each constituency has benefited so far from this government on health alone. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, permit me to mention some of them. West Mamprusi constituency, we have over 10 projects in the health sector alone. Government has completed or initiated. One, a multi-purpose municipal hospital at Lobre, Onasia. A reproductive and child health center at Walwale. A zipline center at Kukua. A health center with a fence wall at Wungu. Construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Wabuliga. Construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Minima. Construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Chelimboya. Construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Sakwafong. Construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Nasia. Construction of chief compound and nurses quarters at Zangunvuga. In fact, these are just few astronomical achievements or intervention this listening government, even with COVID and Russian degree war, just for 6 years has achieved within the West Mamprusi alone. Let's come to the East Mamprusi constituency. We have construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Kadantinga. Wow. We have construction of chief compound and nurses quarters at Nabai. Wow. We have construction of chief compound and nurses quarters at Zari. We have construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Zambulu. Wow. We have construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Namangu. We have construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Yankazia. We have construction of a well-furnished maternity ward at Gambaga Health Center. We have construction of a well-furnished maternity ward at Legacy Health Center. In fact, Gambaga is not left out. There is a very nice, well-furnished, decorated nurses or directors bungalows at Gambaga. Union National constituency is not left out of the huge intervention government has made in the health sector. Under the Union National constituency, we have construction of chief compound and nurses quarters at Dobiyantua. We have construction of quarters. We have a quarters contracted for district health director of health service at Uyo. These are just few interventions the government has made so far in the Uyo constituency. Bukuru Nakbanduri constituency is one of the constituencies within the region which also received their share. Construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at 1B. Full completed. You have construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at 2G. You have construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Tantaran. You have construction of chief compounds and nurses quarters at Ingavu. You have construction of reproductive and health center at Pamela. All these projects, in fact, houses is a feeling adoji. When you go to the various constituencies, you touch it, you feel it, and it is there. In fact, Chapel constituency is not left out of these astronomical interventions. We have construction of cheese compounds at Tescon. We have construction of cheese compounds at Yombu. We have a construction of cheese compounds at Andoka Bilani. We have construction of nurses quarters at Nansona. And then we have construction of nurses quarters at Naja.
The government is working. The government is working. We're breaking the
Mamprugu Mwaduri constituency. Construction of cheese compounds at Bima. Construction of nurses quarters at Tantara. We have construction of blood transfusion center at Ubori. In fact, ladies and gentlemen of the media, it's good. We also remind ourselves that despite the fact that the prodigal NDC had a deliberate policy to build cheese compounds across the country, they couldn't construct up to 10 cheese compounds in the current Northeast region. You remember the last NDC government deducted 10% from the salary of all government appointees across the country. And that deduction was for the purpose of building cheese compounds across the country. But today, it's sad to note that they couldn't build up to 10 cheese compounds in the Ladies and gentlemen, taking the East Mamprusi municipality, where we are currently, for instance, NDC government for 8 years in government could not complete a single cheese compound in the municipality. In fact, what an abysmal performance. If you ask us to raise NDC in that regard, in fact, until we give them a square. However, this government in less than 6 years has built and commissioned 7 cheese compounds in the municipality, the East Mamprusi municipality. Also, ladies and gentlemen of the press, the almighty Agenda 111 hospital projects are progressing steadily at the various constituencies within the region.
I promise I do.
In the Chapel district, when you go, there's work going on. Bumburu district, there is work going on. Union district, there is work going on. Bumburu district, there is work going on. All these projects are at various stages of completion. And in fact, just yesterday, MPP government led by visits, paid a working visit to the Union constituency and supervised how work in the Agenda 111 These are just few of the projects in health the MPP government has completed in this adolescent region. For 8 years in power, the NDC government cannot boast of even 10 projects they did across all the 6 constituencies. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, for the first time in this our school, a whole vice president donated an extremely modern bus to the school to enhance in our academic projects or activities. And this bus serves a huge purpose to every individual in this school, including the NDC cohorts. On behalf of Tescon and the entire students, I therefore stand here and say, thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Alhaji Muhammad. For the timely intervention. For the first time in the history of this region, ladies and gentlemen, there is no doomsday. There is no doomsday. Even with COVID and Russia, and that as a result of a surgical case. So because Tumso is not more there, when they are conducting surgery in BMC or any of the hospital within the Northeast region, we are rest assured of our lives. And that in effect has boosted our health service delivery. Also, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in the history of this region, all constituencies across the region are having functional ambulances, even with COVID and Russian. For the first time in the history of this region, there have been an aggressive road construction across the length and breadth of the region, and that has enhanced our health service delivery, even with COVID and Russia. For the first time in the history of this region, the death rate of anemia, and in fact, I emphasize, we have trainees, that is our sector. The death rate of anemia has reduced drastically due to the introduction of medical drugs, even with COVID and Russia. We know why. Because anemia, a lot of people died as a result of anemia. Because when they are suffering from anemia, they try to get source of blood is always an issue. But because of the introduction of medical drugs, if you are in BMC or any of the hospital within the region and you need blood, it just replaces a requisition, and in fact within seconds. It's not Ladies and gentlemen of the press, for the first time in the history of this region, there is an ultra-modern astro test that has helped to reduce hypertension and other health conditions due to exercising people today, even with COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. Do you know why? No. This astro test is constructed within the region, and our fathers, grandfathers, and even the young ones go there to do exercises anytime that we are ready or we wish to do so. And we as health training, we know that once you continuously do exercises, it's one of the ways that you will be safe from hypertension. So if you want to continuously go there to do exercises, hypertension within the region has been reduced. And that has improved the living standard. Ladies and gentlemen, also for the first time in the history of this region, there are dams everywhere through the one village, one town. That has helped improve the living standard of people, and in effect reduce hospital costs of government, even with COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in the history of this region, NAPO trainees are receiving their arrears. That in effect improves the living condition of people and therefore reduce hospital costs on government, even with COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. And NAPO trainees, Northeast NAPO trainees are no exception. So any NAPO trainee within the region, because they receive their arrears, in fact, it reduces what? Hospital costs on the government. So it's an achievement of government within the health sector. Yeah. For the first time also in the history of this region, over thousands of students are enjoying free senior higher education. Even with COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. And that has kept money in the pockets of parents. That in effect has proved the living standard of what? Ladies and gentlemen of the press, with all this aggressive achievement within 6 years, we say thank you, Mr. President. If you ask me to grade this government, I ask again, if you ask me to grade this government, I will say green. To which excellence or success everywhere. In percentage terms, I will say 85% infant region. So Tescon in Alleluia nursing and beautiful training college with great government achievement within the Northeast region in the aspect of health and the installation of student training allowance 85%, and that is what green. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you all, and may God bless our homeland Ghana.